Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up Debian virtual machine on Google Cloud under Compute Engine, right? So first thing is getting your first trial account with Google Cloud, and then make sure to also set up one project and your billing, right? Once you set these things up, you are ready to go create a virtual machine, right? So first thing, go to top menu and then click on Compute Engine and then click VM instance. That should take you to this page. On the left hand side you will have more options related to VM instance, right? For example, I have added the metadata. So this metadata will allow you to basically add your own SSH key. As you can see, this is the SSH key, one that will be synced with your account in G-Cloud. That would be another key that will be used throughout the project. Right, now let's coming back to VM instance. Here you see you can create new instance of Debian Linux by clicking on create instance. You have also option of creating the same through Cloud Shell. Now here I will name that instance Debian, right? That's the instance name. Now I will keep the region as is because this is a lot cheaper cost than I can think of right now, because Asian servers are expensive and so does the European servers. So US is a bit cheap for now. I don't know what will happen in near future, but for now it is cheaper. So you can pick the region, pick the zone, right? All of these settings would be permanent. Then comes machine configuration, which you can optimize and change later as well. So E2 series, then E2, D2 and N series would be cheaper for you to try on general purpose, right? So I will keep the 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, right? Another thing, can choose between medium, micro, small option. That is one more thing you can do. You can also go for advanced configuration like vCPU to core ratio, visible core count ratio, and so on. Like this you can manage as well. Then comes display device. You can enable, disable that. Then confidential VM service, right? So here you have that option as well to enable it once you want to protect your keys within the VM as well. So when you have this enabled, you won't have to worry about keeping things secret within your VM instance, right? Then there is also container option. So let's say you want to deploy a particular stack and you have created container of it, and then you want to fetch from the hub, you can enable the container that way and deploy it. Next is boot disk, which is the place we will be looking at. By default it does get Debian, but we need options, so we will click on change. So I will pick Debian list, then version we can pick 10, 11, 11. You can try to scroll, but I think we will get AMD 64 edition, or you can even get ARM edition, but 64 is good enough. Then balance persist disk or SSD persistent, either way you can go with. Then 10 GB is the minimum, so we will go with that. There is also encryption option you can pick, right? For example, Google manage encryption, you can go with that. Select this and your boot disk will pick that option. Then comes identity and API access. By default, which account you want to use will become part of your current Compute Engine VM instance. So you will use default service account. It will also allow default access. Then comes firewall, where you can see HTTP, HTTPS are two options. Then comes advanced options, where you have networking and network tags and host name you can choose, right? And then you can also pick network performance configuration option. Another option is choosing the disk, right? You can pick the disk that you want, and then based on that you can select what works for you. right? The next thing is choosing the security option, right? So here you can use the SSH key for your particular VM, and that will allow you to log in, right? Next thing is choosing your option to access your virtual machine instance through your custom keys. You can use manually generated SSH keys, add item, paste it there, and that also works. Then comes management. You can choose to enable disable deletion protection. So if you enable this and later come and try to delete it, it won't work. You will have to manually edit it, come to this particular option again, and then uncheck this, right? Then comes metadata, right? So that's another thing you can edit. Then comes set of policies for you to enable disable, right? And another option to check is sole tenancy. By default it is not editable. It says machine type is not compatible for that. Now the part is we will be deploying this by clicking on create. This will create the instance, and it will take a few moments to deploy, and once it does it will appear in a green status, so we will be able to access this VM instance. Okay, so status is running, so that means we can go ahead and click on it and we can look at the resource. We will also go back and try to connect it through SSH, right? So here you can see connect to serial console is one option which is not enabled. However, we can connect through SSH here. Simply say open in browser window. Meanwhile, let me show you the configuration that we selected. Everything is visible here, right? You can also check the options here. So we allow HTTP and HTTPS server traffic, right? So pretty much all the options that we wanted to look at are here. Now the thing is, I want to open this in new browser, so it will open up like this. So it opens your Debian instance in SSH mode so that you can access it from here itself. So this will be terminal access. So if you selected the desktop mode or something, you may have to use other options to access. However, the terminal access is good enough. Right, in near future I'm sure that VMware will work something out for accessing desktop editions into its versions, right? So here we have our Debian edition, again lsp underscore release dash a, and that should load the Debian 11, right? So if I do ls, it should show me directories if there are any, right? Also I can type in who am I and you get your username max. So everything works just like the typical Debian. You can also try and use, let's say, apt install, or simply say sudo apt install, or even update. So when we see that, it will go through the repository, show you what's available, and it will make a list of it. So 25 packages can be upgraded. You can update that as well. So what we have done here so far is we managed to create a VM, or you can see virtual machine, in compute of Google Cloud. Then we managed to pick a particular image, in our case Debian. Once we have that, we have pretty much done the work of opening that VM's instance in terminal, right? And because of that, we managed to access all of this, right? As you can see, I did sudo apt update. I can also install any small server and once that server is installed I can run it and check as well, just to show you that we can do everything just like we expect it on desktop, right? So pretty much simple process to set up your Debian VM and running it on Compute Engine.